Listen to me. Listen to me. If you're a good person, someone's gonna do you dirty. It doesn't mean you become that person. All of them. Those who are trying to take away your power. The power I think that we have in this world is knowing how to be kind even when it's uncomfortable. But we gotta start with ourselves. Where you don't know how to take a compliment because the joy of you beating yourself up in your mind is more compelling than good words coming from a stranger. But you have the tendency to give people all this advice that you wouldn't give yourself. That's why you feel like a fraud.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm coming. I'm coming right now. Come on in, y'all.
Truly honored and blessed to spend and invest time with these guests, but most importantly, spend time and invest time with you too. If you don't know who I am, I'm Rob De La Rosa, the bald-headed Dominican from the Bronx, and all you gotta do to help me, help you, is like, comment, subscribe.
I don't know, for some reason, I have this talk for myself. Just self-reflecting before I even turn this camera on. Like, what is it gonna do for me? Because I hope sincerely this helps one of you. And we're gonna talk about being a victim of imposter syndrome. Think in a world right now where building self-confidence, belief, striving to find your own path, really try to find things that bring you happiness, fulfillment, and joy. To finally be able to taste those things or walk in that line of purpose, and then you talk yourself out of it, I'm telling you, man, it's a hard pill to swallow, right? Because I accidentally found my purpose, all right? Like things that, let me say, I accidentally found my purpose. Here's what I mean. I didn't engage into the world of podcasting and didn't even know it was something that I'll be in route to go do or probably enjoy doing because I was doing something else that consumed me completely. I was in a direct sales space and all I saw was me getting to the top of this company and nothing else. Didn't look left, didn't look right until it was taken away from me completely, right? And I had to get with myself. And one thing I vowed to do in the midst of all the pain and the deceit and the anger and the rage and the confusion and the pain, I just vowed to not lose my spark and not lose the awe that I see in the world. It's crazy when I reflect and think about the times. There was a time I got, the biggest accomplishment I got in that company, I walked stage probably in front of 20,000 people. And it wasn't the speech that I said, the anticipation of, finally getting the award. It was when I walked, said my speech, probably had 60 seconds. There was a gentleman that when I finished my speech on stage pulled me over and said, "You see that energy? You never lose that, no matter what." So then 5 years later, I think about 5 years later, to really think about being at my lowest point and hearing his voice, random message still hit my mind. A lot of time with God, a lot of time with good people, a lot of time in prayer, a lot of time in seeking personal growth development, a lot of time of being the message that I bring, regardless of how dirty. Listen to me. If you're a good person, someone's gonna do you dirty. It doesn't mean you become that person. Fuck all of them. Those who are trying to take away your power. The power I think that we have in this world is knowing how to be kind even when it's uncomfortable. But we gotta start with ourselves. So I know I went on a little rant right there, but for those who are probably in this moment, if you came across this page and you don't know who I am, and probably the caption got your attention, it's you are worth more than the self-doubt and the idea that you're not inadequate to get the success that you're praying for. Like, it's crazy because some of us, once we pray for what we want and question it once we start to receive it. Stop doing that, please. And I'm only giving you the right to do so because I'm going to show you how I stumbled on my purpose. The podcast was, of course, you're here, right? If you're enjoying it, this is In the Living Room podcast with your favorite bald-headed Dominican from the Bronx. If this is the episode that you see for the first time, a subscription will be what I ask for. Like and share is even more than what I'm asking for because it's what helps the channel. And I hope this does something for you. But I was in a point in my life at my lowest. I mean, sleeping in my mom's house on the couch, okay? I would drive Uber 12 hours a day in Jersey in an X6 BMW that I couldn't even afford anymore to try to load up a trading account and keep blowing that money while I was running a company that somebody was stealing from me. I'm trying to tell you that they are bad people out there. They are. But in the midst of it all, when I hit rock bottom, I remembered the man's voice. Don't you ever lose that right there. That joy, that energy, don't you ever lose that power. So let me tell you how then I come to a point where I'm trying to find what do I want to do, right? What do I want to do when I'm listening to podcasts to get over the idea that I'm really driving? I went from traveling the world, doing all this stuff, speaking on stages, thousands around the world, to being in my mom's house and asking myself, how did I get here? Is this my fault? Did I subconsciously put myself in this situation? And had to really get into my journal, look around at people, and look around for those who might have had similar stories or went through more. This is why personal growth and development, reading books, listening to people's story is the cheat code. Yeah, this is the reason I want to interview people. I'm trying to get the conversation they have behind closed doors. You know, I'm trying to find that word or those words that keep that engine running, as if I'm a mechanic at a shop that only knows how to work with cars that I want to drive. See, like, you know what I mean? Things to that degree. And when I started podcasting, you know, I first was only focusing on who will be my guest. And there's a lot of questions. Here's a secret. Maybe some of you didn't know. The idea of running a podcast first happened in 2018. All right. It was 2018. And I was asked 3 questions. And out of those 3 questions, I felt like I wasn't ready to do so. So if you want to do something in life and the timing ain't right, at least you know you want to do it, always pursue it, find a way to pursue it. I felt like I wasn't ready, but it was always in the back of my mind. In that process, here's a key point, I finally put it on the calendar. I put it to paper. I said, you know what, we're going to do it. I'm afraid, I don't understand who, how, what, but let me get out of my head and put it on paper. Wrote down 16 people that I think would be great to interview, what would it would be, etc. And everybody said yes. God is good, they said yes. But ultimately I said, but why am I doing this? But why? Because nothing's really about the how. It's mostly about the why. And I said, why am I doing this? If there was an end goal or something that would really be something that I want to do, what would that be? I said, if I could bring this to kids, if they could get this message, if an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 16-year-old, or 18-year-old in this world, a kid in high school could get a hold of this information, and the people that look like them from the places that they come from, and know that the world is bigger than just, you know, entertainment and sports and being a drug dealer to get you to where you want to be in your life, that people could learn how to do things in different sectors and we exist, that'll ultimately be the goal. To then, in that moment, let me give you my experience of really encountering imposter syndrome. I was asked to go speak in a school. I was asked, Rob, you should go speak in a school in the Bronx. And I'm like, I hear you, but truthfully at the time, I probably had no desire to speak in front of the room because I felt like a fraud. I'm going to go up there and speak about what? To me, in my eyes, I'm not successful. I don't have anything at the current moment, you know, that is appealing, I guess, to what there is out there. What can these kids learn from me? But I remember right before I was asked to do so, I almost said no, but I said to myself, you know what? This is the year that I'm just going to start saying yes. Forget about what I think about myself. If other people see it in me, I'm going to just start doing it. If you think I could be in a movie, let's shoot a movie. If you think I could be in a music video, let's be in the music video. You think I'm a good person to speak in front of a group of kids? Then let's go speak in front of these group of kids. I kid you not, y'all. Had no idea what I was going to talk about. Before I even went up there, I was in my head. What am I going to say? Now, I have the skill set and the ability to be able to speak in front of a room because of my prior experiences, right? I knew I was going to say something. I just didn't know what I was going to do. At the end of that speech, I was up there for about 45 minutes. There was a kid that I connected, like we connected for some reason. Energy is real. I locked eyes with this kid. He raises his hand. And I go, yes, young man, you have a question for me. He says to me, yes, can I have your autograph? An autograph. And I'm stunned, like, what? Had a moment, I'm having a moment right now. Like, I'm not no celebrity, you know what I mean? I'm a dude in the Bronx going through it. But he saw a celebrity to some degree, y'all. And I signed about 8 autographs that day. No paycheck. It was done for free. But the belief kicked in again. The stuff that I prayed for was happening in front of me for free because I put $1 to success opposed to impact for success. Kids asked for an autograph. Now the plan is in play. Now I go to InvestFest and meet a man all of a sudden who, I can't believe I'm having this moment on camera and are we gonna edit this is the question, right? I go to InvestFest and I meet a man who speaks who's speaking in front of kids for about numbers that I didn't even know exist, right? Then I interview Milk. Shout out to Milk. He actually he does work in the DOE, and today I'm a vendor at the DOE. My mother has been a para, yeah, for over 20 years. My sister's been in the school system for over 20 years. I now get paid to go teach kids how to podcast, but I felt like a fraud before I spoke in that room. Imagine what life would look like for me today if I didn't shut off the noise. So for those who are going through this process, here's what it looks like. Sometimes is when you're overworked, when you don't have rest, where you don't know how to take a compliment because the joy of you beating yourself up in your mind is more compelling than good words coming from a stranger. But you have the tendency to give people all this advice that you wouldn't give yourself. That's why you feel like a fraud. Take the time to realize that anything can change as soon as you want it to. There's people out there like Wallow. Look at Wallow's story. That's another story I posted recently. Wallow came out of jail. He was in jail for 20 years and shows a video how he says he's going to change $1,000 to over millions of dollars. And he is doing that because he had 20 years to himself asking for another shot at life. And when he got it, he went and got after it. Get around the environment of people that can see what you don't see in yourself, but get good at getting the conversation to yourself. So let me give you in the process of after that conversation I had, or shout out to Rafi too for documenting that for me. You know what I mean? After I had that moment, people didn't know is I really got a time to get into my journal. At the current time as well, I was doing something called Give Me 40 Days by Frida Goodman, I believe. Is a book where you pray for 20 minutes. And again, look, I'm not pushing my belief on anybody. I'm just letting you know what I personally had to do, where I was in, you know, the valley, the low part, the dark of the dark, where the identity of who I am to a person. Here's what I realized in that time. I really enjoy my own company though, right? I really enjoy the fact that I was trying to do things that made me uncomfortable. I was getting in front of a room where people could really feel my level of energy, but I got good at tapping into my energy, inner God, inner gangster. Like stop looking at myself one way and knowing who I really was. I took the moment to really look in the mirror. Like, when's the last time you looked in the mirror for real? Not to look at things you didn't like, but have a conversations with yourself or what you do like. Life is really is a thin line between what you can see is working opposed to all you see was not working. So I first acknowledged, okay, Rob, you was a mentor to many. Now be a mentor to yourself. If you were a person that you met today, what qualities you see in yourself? I wrote those things down. Bang. In the midst of that, fitness has always been an escape for me too. I also hurt my arm, my shoulder, and my hip. So now I'm skinny with no money and no business. All I got is my mind. My mind. And what some of us don't know, whatever you believe in, but no conversation is with yourself. Someone is always listening to that. To me, is the higher power. And I just waited for the moment where he said, are you done? Are you done having this nonsense that doesn't serve no one? It serves no one. It doesn't serve you, because I believe there's no point of trying to fix people when they can see that you're broken yourself. Broken Not Damaged is a book I'm reading right now by Michael Todd. It's a fire book. But it's okay to be broken. It's up to you if you decide that you're going to let that damage you. So I got good at getting a journal. And I think when I speak on that, let me speak to my men real quick. We never knew that mental health and therapy and something like that was something that I never grew up hearing those conversations. I never seen my pops, speak on those things. We never had conversations about how I personally feel at the moment. None of that was masculine or available. I have a mother that did that for me, and I love you to death. But that's a conversation of us amongst us men to know that it needs to be available. I had a debate with one of my therapist friends that I said, I'm going to get a therapist, and I am. I know I'm playing. I'm going to hold myself to it. By tomorrow, I'm going to lock that in. But I also said to my friend, I said, it's not only that we need a therapist, because I think we need a professional at time, but we need that community of friends again that can identify when something's wrong with us and not be afraid to hold us to our word. You know what I mean? Like, yo, you off today. What's up with you? And when you're trying to run away and escape for that, they're around you all the time, and they won't allow you to go in your little cocoon, because some of you play and say that you're working on yourself, but you're really isolating yourself so we don't see the things that you need to work on. So when I isolated myself, I really got to the work. I really wrote on the books. I really got into the idea of how are these people that I look up to, Kevin Hart, Will Smith, what did they go through to get to where they're at today? To me, it's always the journey of the person, not the destination, because I believe we will continue to evolve. But the conversation in the mind, if that is off, everything falls apart. Everything falls apart. So I tend to look at these three things. One, what are my behaviors the first thing when I wake up in the morning? Is it social media? Is it the TV? What are my beginning thoughts of the day? Am I starting the day with thanks? Secondly, what am I subscribed to after I finally have my first hour being awake? Am I moving in concern or in purpose? Like, am I excited for the things on my list I get to do, opposed to dreading the things on my to-do list, right? Like that mindset, where do I stand? And lastly, I think about what am I physically doing? Not only in the aspect of working out myself, but who am I around? What's the environment? Who are the people that I'm plugged into? How is that environment serving me? Those are the three things that I personally do to make sure that off of behavior patterns, I'm not falling into this level of imposter syndrome. Here's another thing I want to tell you right now. I just finished leaving a school, okay, that I've always wanted to get into the schools. You have somewhat of a plan, but God got the picture. The kids that we went and spoke to are kids with special needs. I didn't find out this was a special need class to the day I was in the room. Because I've been so prepared and worked so hard on working on myself, I am allowed to be myself wherever I go and know that I'm not a fraud. And whenever I had those thoughts, I plug into the time that I was at a peak and used a message that helped me at my low. I got to a place in my life where I realized that it wasn't the money nor the people that were around me at the current moment. I had to get back to myself to find out what was the point of me being here, right? The purpose and the value of me being valuable. And lastly, what are the behaviors that keep me in line, and make sure that as soon as I feel a bit off, I get right back on track. You are worth it. You have something that you've been holding back and are scared to work on because you don't see the value in yourself. You are worth it. Do us a favor, do yourself the favor, and become who you're supposed to, because we only got one life for real. Like, depending on your age bracket, we got another pair of summers left before it's all over. Let us see who you are. This is Rob De La Rosa. It's another episode in the Living Room Podcast where we learn, laugh, and heal.